There are two buttons. Two buttons. It should be the easiest thing. Literally the easiest thing. There are two buttons, like, nowhere near each other. One says turn camera on, and one says unmute, okay? Hey everyone, welcome back to yet another Star Stable video. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and be sure to check out the giveaway. It's still ongoing until November 8th, and it will be linked down in the description below, so just check it out. You know, there's 3 winners, so yeah. Anyways, today, it's going to be training time, story time merged. So yeah, this actually happened to me yesterday. Oh my god. Woo! It still pains me to think about, but anyways, how I got caught on Zoom, story time. So let's just get right into the video. Okay, so I guess we're just going to go ahead and start the story then, are we? I guess we are. So before we get into it though, I just want to say that I have done all the work of this class ahead of time. So, you know, I'm all caught up and everything like that. So there's nothing bad there or anything like that. And I also was paying attention, you know. So yeah, I was caught up with work. I had already done that day's worth of work for that class. So, you know, it was good, and I was ready to go. You know, I did this class ahead of time, and I had this planned out, okay? The thing is, I had this planned out, and I usually never do this, but this one time it happens. Okay, so anyways, yesterday, so basically, because of the pandemic, my school has decided to go all online. So basically, we're on online school, right? And we use Zoom. Zoom is what we use. We sadly don't use Google Classroom or anything like that. So basically, if you don't know what Zoom is, it's something where you and your teachers can video chat with each other. Except for this particular class, I did not need to turn my camera on, and I was on mute. So you thought it would be easy, right? Well, not for me, because I had to go and mess this up. But anyways, we're getting ahead of the story here. So in Zoom, like, I go to every single one of my classes, but this particular class did not need me to, like, be facing the screen. Like, I had to be facing the screen, if that makes sense, but I didn't have to have my camera on, so no one could see me. It just said, like, yeah, it just said nothing. It was literally nothing, just like a square of nothingness. Not me, I did not show my face. No one in that class shows their face, mind you. And I was on mute, meaning that no one could hear me. The only one with their camera on was the teacher. Okay? The only one with their camera on was the teacher. So I arrive in this Zoom call class, and we start going over, like, daily instructions, everything like that. So everything's super easy so far. We're all good. You know, everything's going according to plan. A normal day here. I've been to this class multiple times before, so I kind of know what's going on. So the first thing that happens is we go over the lesson plan for the day, and I had already completed that. So, you know, I decided to spend this day sitting and editing my yesterday's videos and making those videos too. So while I was in the Zoom lecture, I was also making and editing these videos that I was about to post, because, like, I post right away after I made them. A little bit of editing time, but other than that, usually good. So yeah, I had everything planned, and that's what I was going to do. So on the side here, I have a chair. So I placed the laptop on the chair, and my parents, they knew I had already, like, done the lesson plan and everything, but my parents, they said that I should put it, like, the computer in front, so it actually looks like I'm paying attention, because, you know, just in case. But I was like, you know what, I don't need that. I don't need to put it in front of me, because my camera's gonna be off anyways, so it doesn't really matter. They're never gonna see my face. I was so wrong. So here I was in the Zoom, and my laptop was here, the school laptop I use, while I was clearly not paying attention. I had the headset on, the unicorn on, everything, ready to go, everything on. You know, I was actually in the process of editing while this happened, and then we got put into breakout rooms. Now, what breakout rooms are, it's basically a Zoom session in a Zoom session, but with, like, your classmates, so it was as if you were, like, in doing group work with each other, you know, nothing too big. I was used to it. So we got into these groups, but before that, he gave us some instructions, like, oh, say what your favorite candy is, say, what you do in your free time. That was the question that messed me up. Okay. And then something else. But those are the two I mainly remember. You know, nothing like curriculum based. We were just doing that. So we just kind of talked in these rooms for like 2 minutes before there was nothing really left to say. So we just stood there with our nothingness screens and just kind of staring at each other awkwardly, because if you didn't know, that's what Zoom is all about. That's happened to me so many times. It's so awkward. Okay, anyway, so while we were just staring at each other, I was over here editing. You know, you can't see they're staring because their screens are off. I keep saying this, but it's so important because I didn't need to show my screen. And then the teacher comes in the room because he checks up on us to like know what we're doing and stuff. So he came in the room to check that we were doing our work, and everyone was sitting there with their cameras off. So he's like, "Oh, guys, what did you answer to the first question?" And I'm like, "Oh, I answered this." And then the other person would answer, and the other person would answer. But then he asked, "What would you answer to the second question?" And the second question was, "What do you do in your free time?" I said, "Play games," but before I said that, I was editing, right? So all of my attention was based and focused on editing. So I was just facing the computer, super normal, everything good. But then I turned to reply to his question because he specifically called on me because we were going to circle saying what we answered to know that we answered it and stuff. And I was gonna say I play games in my spare time, just games, because I don't know why I decided to say that and not editing or something. But I turned, and there are two buttons. It should be the easiest thing. Literally the easiest thing. There are two buttons, like, nowhere near each other. One says, turn camera on, and one says, unmute. Okay? And you know what I did when I turned? I was not paying attention because I just wanted to get back to editing, but like not be marked absent, if that makes sense. So while I was looking at my computer, I turned and I pressed turn camera on while I was clearly not facing the computer and not paying attention. And it's not even that big a deal because we weren't like doing anything curriculum based, but then I turned my oh my gosh, and then I was just talking because I thought they could hear me. They couldn't even hear me because my microphone was off, so it was just me talking randomly at the camera like this for a few seconds, just like, "Oh, I was playing games, blah 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 blah," but you couldn't hear me, so I was just like this. And then I quickly turned it off, and then he's just like, "Were you playing games?" And I'm like, "What? No, I use this for..." Actually, before he said that, this what makes it kind of ironic, but before he said that, he literally asked, I answered the question of what do I do in my free time, and I said play games. And then he said, "Were you doing that right now?" And I'm just like, oh my goodness, what do I say? And I usually don't have to think off the top of my head, so I'm really, really bad at it. So I was just sitting there saying that, like, no, I was using it to look at the curriculum. I was looking at the lesson plan. I was following along, you know, I like to type my notes on it and stuff, so I was doing that. And then, oh my gosh, this made it so obvious that I was not doing anything school related because he continues to talk and I'm just still babbling on about how I was not playing games. Like, he just said, "Are you sure about that? Like, are you sure you're not playing games?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, oh my gosh, I'm not playing games." Except I was so frantic and like anxious that, oh my gosh, what is that girl's torso? Okay, anyways, but I was so anxious that I may or may not have talked over, and then everyone else in my group was just dead silent for that complete thing, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I messed up. The worst thing that could have happened. Like, there's not one more worse thing, because you could clearly see I had my headset on, and I was facing the computer, and to face my school computer, I had to be like this, so it was clear as day. I was not paying attention. And then the rest of class goes on, you know, like super well, but then we get put back into these same groups of about 3 other people, including myself. I mean, not including myself, it was a 4-person group overall, including myself. We work in groups on this little project, Google slideshow thing. I finished my part, you know, not a big deal. I write a lot because I didn't want him to think that I was like slacking off or something. So then he comes back in our group and he tells us to turn our cameras on. So I was still editing because I finished like super fast because I had already done everything. I pushed back my computer and I like super hurriedly put the computer in front of this And I didn't want to, okay, I probably overthinked this. And I was like, oh my gosh, he's going to know if I don't wear my headset. But if I wear my headset, he'll know too. I just decided on wearing my headset while presenting the whole entire slideshow and facing the computer. So yeah, it was pretty good. Except it wasn't like mandatory or you turn your camera on, but I did because I wanted to seem like a good person who was listening in class. And I still think about it to this day. Probably not that big of a deal, but it's a big of a deal. Okay? Okay. Oh, this is going to haunt me forever. I swear. Oh my goodness. And the fact that everyone else had their cameras off. Good thing the teacher wasn't like really caring about it though. The teacher was like one of my more chill teachers, so he didn't really care. I didn't want to seem disrespectful. So yeah, that is my tragic Zoom story. Leave yours down in the comments below. And yeah, that was basically all I had to say for this. Let me know what you think of it. The moral of the story is, look like you know what you're doing if you're about to play Star Stable during class. Yeah, because I failed at that. So yeah, bye everyone. Bye everyone, thank you so much for watching this short storytime video, and leave your Zoom horror stories down in the comments below. Bye! Bye!